You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast from ascully.com. Your weekly look at movies, video games, and more, brought to you by your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? After the Show is here. We're here, Sid Talk.
Oh my, you're acting like there's just like this row of people around the world just desperately clicking, refreshing until it appears.
They're waiting for after the show. That's what they're doing.
I mean, I liked your optimism, but...
They're like, is it Monday at noon yet?
Oh, is that your exact precise time?
That's my exact precise time, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. You have to be consistent. Otherwise, people are like, when does that show come out? That's how it works in the podcast world.
I'm the wrong person for that? Okay, this is not the before the after the show discussion, but since you brought it up, I spent my child youth watching television. My brother used to call me the walking TV guide. TV guide used to be a little booklet, like a little magazine you could buy every week that told you exactly when everything was on and what time and little articles about things. And I just knew it all by heart because I watched TV so much. The thing is, and then the world decided to accommodate a person like me, who, if I had had my opportunity in 1975 to have sat and watched 10 Incredible Hulks in a row, I would have. I didn't give a shit about what time or day anything was. It's just that that's the only time I could see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when Brady Bunch was on. 6:30 in the evening, that's when one of the multiple different game shows would appear at different times before the news. But if I could have gone to a thing and just watched it endlessly, I wouldn't care what day or time it was. So
you mean
now,
like 1970s Netflix?
Yeah, I don't care what time anything's on or what day it's on. If I have access to it some other way, including podcasts, you cannot tie me down to a schedule. I think that seems very old-fashioned. But whatever. Whatevs.
That is the before the after the show discussion.
That's it.
There we go. So it is Saturday, April the 30th. Happy May, nearly.
Nearly.
This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast. This week on episode 734, we're looking at the A24 movie Red Rocket. It's a 2021 release. It's on Blu-ray now, streaming everywhere you can get movies. It's rated R. And Sid Talk, give us the synopsis.
The way you said it, Red Rocket.
Well, yeah. Red Rocket.
Synopsis is a grown man is kind of a useless, just flailing around. It's he's about 50 years old, I'm guessing. And he's just kind of like leeching off of everybody. And yet he's very compelling and very interesting. Where he is interesting. It got me.
All right. Here's the official synopsis for all the...
It's not going to be as good as that.
Mikey Saber is a washed-up porn star who returns to his small Texas hometown, not that anyone really wants him back. That's it.
That's right. That's accurate. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Red Rocket is we watched the movie The Florida Project by the same director, and this is the next movie he's made. What did you think, Sid Talk?
I loved it.
The end.
Can we go on now? Move on to some more life. Yeah, the thing about movies that somehow, whatever the technique, right? There's a lot of things involved here. There's technique, camera work, the director/writer person's, their entire sensibility about how to tell a story. It's specific to this person and others, I'm sure, but this guy's got a very specific, like you say, it's grungy, but it just feels like life.
Yeah.
Like every set is, you've been there. You've been to that house and I was looking around her bedroom, like the wife's bedroom. There's like a nail on the wall and she's just hung like a random necklace on it or something, like a cheap beads from maybe a Mardi Gras celebration or something. And then there's stains on the wall from like the pillows leaning against the wall because their bed is like on the floor, essentially. It's like the mattress on the floor situation. And the kitchen's none of it's great. It's all just
regular.
Real. Yeah, really real. And the whatever filter or non-filter, I don't know how he films it, the lighting and everything.
This was actually filmed on film, so it's really grainy and kind of grimy.
See, the grain I feel like isn't the thing for me. It's the lighting that it feels, some of it doesn't feel natural, like when he's getting a moment, they overlight him from the front just to make it kind of a dream session a little bit, because he kind of has delusions in his head, I think, of certain things. Everything else has just got a perfect contrasty lighting everywhere. So all of it to me made me just, once it started, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm hypnotized.
I immediately knew what kind of film it was from, he's sitting on the bus at the beginning, just driving into town, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of get the feeling, oh, I get what this is immediately. Vibe of it. The poster of this movie, by the way, and the Blu-ray cover do not do the movie justice.
Is that part of the show, right? It's a very off-kilter. It's not in line with the movie at all.
They make it look like a goofball comedy, though.
Maybe that's how he sees it.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote it.
I mean, it's a comedy, don't get me wrong, but there's very funny moments to it, but it's very sad as well and tragic a little bit.
Yes.
You know, so...
It's all very sad and tragic. Not their lives necessarily, but everyone else seems... I'm not going to say they're okay, because everybody's got shit going on. However, until he taps in, they seem to be going along...
Just going along.
Yeah, really. I mean, the wife not having a great time.
Yeah, explain the...
Okay, the situation is he shows up on the doorstep of his still wife, but they have been estranged for what we can only guess is a very long time. Because in the meantime, she's had another relationship and a kid and all these other things. And they're old. I mean, we're not talking about young people. She's probably 43, 44, and he's in his late 40s, I'm guessing. Character and actor person. So he shows up on her doorstep. Man, I just need a couple nights. I just need to stay someplace a couple nights. He's been beat up a little bit. He kind of talks his way back into her life. He then finds this lady who he used to sell weed for back in high school, which we've established was 17, 18, well, it'd be more than that years ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago. If you're 48.
I mean, she didn't even recognize him.
Right. And so she's the lady who he can sell weed for. So he has to tap into that. I mean, not tap into her. She's an older lady too, but he has to get the weed, selling that, but then he's kind of skimming off the top. You get the feeling like he's not doing her right. And then he meets this young lady in the donut shop who he just gets this really creep on about her. I don't know about you, but it felt really creepy. All the while, he's using the wife and her mother as a place to stay for sex, basically. Barely does anything. He paid the rent for him one time and mowed the yard. But he's just, everywhere he goes, he's a leech. He's literally got nothing, and he's just taking off of everyone. And so...
And on top of all that...
That's the story, really, is the story of that guy.
But on top of all that, where you've just described him, but he's very personable and very watchable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't always hate him.
Oh, no. He's definitely someone we all know.
Yeah, they're bumbling around.
He can talk you into anything. Like, anything. Even though you know it's fucked up. Like, we all know this person, so that's why I think it's so compelling to watch.
I said to you, he's like a tank that comes into town, and he just squashes over everything that's in front of him.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who or what you are. He doesn't really care. So long as he's okay, right?
Yes. Even really bad things happen, and all he cares about is that he gets out scot-free. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really, there's parts in it where you're like, it's so effed up, like what he is. And he's not a drug addict or anything like that.
He smokes a lot of weed, but I mean, he's not.
Yeah. But sometimes you can portray a character like this. Maybe they've got a habit or whatever, and they're doing it to feed the habit. But this guy, it's not for that. It's just for, he wants to be something. X the porn stuff. Now, do you believe the stories he tells about porn? Is that...
No, I think...
He bigs himself up all the time.
Oh, bigs himself up, totally. I think everything is... He is the bad person in every one of those stories, but he makes the other people... Because, again, we know this person. We know this guy or gal who, when they're telling you the story of how they got their face beat up and how they lost their apartment and how they don't have any money... And how everybody's just fucking against him, and the world's just, it's everybody else's fault. you have to like cut it in half and throw half of it away and then go, okay, let me back up a little bit. Every single story cannot be you as the one getting shit on. So that's how I feel like we have no way to confirm anything, right? He's been to LA. He's been a porn person. He's not a porn star, but he's got like, what did he say, 100 followers or something?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can watch his movies. He tells everybody, go to this link, look me up.
He does say he got AVN awards, and people could look that up on the internet.
Yeah, but she confirmed, I mean, we're getting granular here, but he says it's for the best oral sex. Now, what we're talking about is a female performer doing oral sex on a bunch of men in one scene, and his young lady that he meets, because he's bragging about winning this award, and she's like, yeah, but it's her scene. Like, you're just one of the guys. And he's like offended that she doesn't think that he was important and, to win the prize. So, that just tells you, like, look a little bit closer at his big tails. The thing is, yeah, he feels he's a bullshitter. He's desperately trying to keep his head above water constantly, but he's also very sad. Like, it feels like a sad existence.
Yeah, because he's always grifting, basically. Every single thing he's doing is,
then again, as soon as he gets a little bit of a twinkle in his eye, he's back up. It's like a manic depressive situation. He's completely destroyed at one point in the movie. When a thing happens, he doesn't leave the house. He doesn't go see his young girlfriend. He doesn't do anything. He's just devastated. And then all of a sudden he finds out he's okay. He's in the clear.
Yes.
And then he's 100% up at the top again, like literally on his bike, like kind of singing and like moving around like the hills are alive with his, like he's totally up there. He's that person.
And each person in the movie that he comes into contact with, they all offer him something. He takes something from them. So like his wife, he takes, somewhere to live, and he gets sex from her every now and then. And then this young girl that he picks up is like his ticket to getting back into porn, he sees. And then there's this guy who lives next door who knew him, but he barely knew him, kind of thing. He uses him just for transportation because he's got a car.
But tries to make him think he's his friend. Yeah. Which is very sad.
In fact, there are scenes that are he's talking to the guy in the car, and he basically needs a lift to wherever he's going each day. And he gets that guy to do it. And what he gives him in exchange is some stories in the car.
Yeah.
Because he can see, well, this guy needs that. He loves a story. He loves me telling him a story. He lights up almost when I'm doing it for him. And then I can get the free lift. And you can see in his mind, it's turning
I don't think he's thinking about the other person ever. I think that's...
I think he's like, what can I give in exchange to keep this guy on the hook?
I think he just keeps talking and keeps bullshitting to kind of just get through it. I don't think he's trying to benefit the other person.
But he takes everywhere he goes. He takes even the donut shop which he goes to pick up this girl. He takes free donuts from there.
Yeah.
Sells drugs for this lady. And
now there's one thing we have to address is that people will be very uncomfortable with the fact that he's, like I said, about 50, comes into the donut shop, meets a young woman who says that she's 3 weeks from being 18 years old. We've looked up the ages of consent in the States just to confirm. It is 17 in Texas. That's where this movie takes place. And yet it is like,
she feels like she's 15.
It's viscerally uncomfortable. As soon as we start, the camera does the thing where it's looking at her the way he's looking at her. And you're just like, but they have a thing. So then you have to be like, okay, he's just a creep. Yeah. And all he sees is the potential for her to turn her into a porn star or whatever, get him back in the porn thing and like, hey, look what I've brought, a token for you all kind of a thing.
That's how he saw it, wasn't he? Like, if I come back with her, then I'll be the talk of the town and we'll make movies and it'll all be great.
Yeah.
But
which makes you kind of go, ugh.
Yeah, it's gross. But the girl in question, Strawberry she's called, she's not your average, she's got like a different view on things.
Well, she's modern. She's already sent somebody a nudie picture of herself on the internet with her friend, and she's studying to do her SAT. She works in a donut shop. She's pretty,
grown. She's
she's having sex with this guy who doesn't, another high schooler who she doesn't, I mean, she's like, it's fun, it's whatever. Like, so she's not, I'm not saying she's not an innocent little girl. She's still a very young girl to me, obviously. Yeah. I'm 54. So to me, it's like, hands off, you creepy fuck. But it's a different world now. And so I don't know how different young people identify with sexual relationships. I found it interesting
how nobody in the peripheral of, they could see what was going on there, everybody, right? The lady who owns the shop, the workers who come in for the donuts and stuff. He's flirting straight with her, isn't he, all the time? Like, nobody ever goes like, oh, you creep. Mm-mm. Nobody. Like, it's not, even the lady who works there is not like, isn't she too young for you? Or
in most of life, people are not looking that close, or people have their own shit going on where they're like, well, if I draw attention to that, then somebody's going to draw attention to that. The fact that I'm buying weed while I'm at work, because the construction worker guys were all buying weed off of him at the donut shop. So if they start throwing any shade, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's like, oh, wait. So, yeah, I think people just go, like, none of my business.
So there is that element. You feel in a certain way in this movie, and then when he meets this young girl, and it turns into, like, a love affair.
You want to root for him a little bit until every single thing starts adding up.
Yeah. It's like a comedy of errors, almost. Because it's a snowball effect, isn't it, that leads to, I would say, his downfall. It's kind of lucky, a lot of what goes on for him. Because he just stumbles into things and they tend to work out, right? Like, oh, I'll just turn up at my wife's house and see if I can live there again.
Well, I don't think so. He has to really
manipulate.
Yeah, so he has to make the effort to manipulate, to get her to...
But it seems to come easy. He goes round to the drug lady's house, immediately gets a job doing that, you know?
But then we've established he's actually good at that?
Yeah.
So he's really good at actually selling weed to, like, he knows who to find and how to sell it. There's a skill that he could just go on doing, but that's not what he wants. He wants to be back in porn. So he kind of skips over any other possibilities, I think.
Yeah. And it's a slice of life type movie as well. Don't expect, like, any dramatic, huge... It's not building to anything huge, or it's just following this guy day to day. Mm-hmm. There is a storyline, but it is like the Florida Project, where it's... Well, the Florida Project actually does lead to something super dramatic, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But this is not really that type of thing. And I found this very funny in parts, just the observations being made. And he is just like a fireball, isn't he? He's just all out there, everything.
It's like watching, was it Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler?
Yeah.
Where
it's kind of...
You see, like, there's something in this actual person. Like, in Mickey Rourke, who's being this guy, who's doing these scenes, that's leaching out. It's coming out of the actual person. This character, who, whatever the circumstance is, making this scene in this movie, is pulling out something very deep inside that person. If that's true or not, it doesn't matter. It feels like that. Like you're getting to the root of something in that performer guy. And there are moments when it feels almost like it's him. Even though I know nothing about this person, it just felt like he was 100% behind this character.
Yeah, it was...
and he's constantly, I don't know, he's got everything. There's a whole package. His movements, his mannerisms, the way he shakes his head and kind of wiggles his mouth around. I mean, it's just a constant in the character.
How I explained him to you, his opening kind of monologue almost, where he turns up and he's trying to convince his wife, can he stay there? I said, wow, this guy's a lot.
Yes.
Because he's like 500 words a minute. He never stops. He's just always, it's like he's at work trying to manipulate people.
Yeah.
And he says the right things and does the right things up to a point.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes he doesn't. He's staying in the house. They ask him to do the wash up. And he's just not having it at all, is he? Like, no. Even though he
does it, like, begrudgingly. Like, yeah. My God, how much do you want from me? Washing my own dishes.
You want a whole 1% from me? So, yeah, it's an interesting character. And in other hands, I would have hated the guy the entire time and just wanted him to go away. But there's something about it where I'm like, I just want to see what he does next, because I can't believe what he's doing day to day. Like,
The thing is, he's very real. I guess on some levels, we're all manipulating each other all the time, one way or another, right? Either to love us, do work for us, give us stuff, be our friend. And we don't want to think of it as manipulation, but every time you agree to do a thing that you don't particularly want to do, because then you think, well, then they're like me a little bit more, or, well, later when I want my friend to do this thing, then they will. Well, that's manipulation, right?
Yeah.
To pretend you're in a good mood when you feel like shit because your spouse just needs you to be in a better mood. I mean, one could say they're manipulating you, I guess, but we're all doing it. He's just sort of like the master at it because it's all about him.
So let's get on to the cast here. Simon Rex plays Mikey. He is, like I say, a fireball. He's got a lot. I imagine his part of the script was very long. There's a lot of pages because he is talking a lot.
Oh, yeah. Shit. He's in every single thing.
Yeah,
so.
And he's really got long. I don't know if a lot of this is improvised or whatever, but he's a MTV VJ from back in the 90s. When I was just reading around about him, a lot of people really liked him on MTV. And then he disappeared in a weird porn scandal.
Well, because we've established that in this day and age, in my lifetime, from a childhood to now as a child in the 70s, right? So let's say late 60s or 70s and 80s. If somebody who won Miss America or someone was an actor or a newsreader or somebody like that, and all of a sudden somebody found out they took nudie pictures at some point, well, then they were what today would be canceled, right? They were fired and sort of disappeared. You didn't see them anymore. Or, it wasn't a big, huge scandal. There was no internet back then. But this guy was on the sort of, maybe the tail end of that, like the 90s, and he took some nudie pictures that was and some little clips of him masturbating. Then it was in a film, and then as he was working for MTV, somebody discovered it, and then boom, he was fired. I don't know that would happen today unless the content of what you were doing...
I don't think it would happen.
...was horrible, objectionable, illegal,
if you just had
exploitive,
some porn.
If you victimized somebody or anything like that, yes, I think that amps it up as it should. But just masturbating and then having somebody have a film of it and then sticking it in a film and somebody seeing it, I mean, what are you trying? I mean, even if you're pastor, you found out that I would hope these days and age the pastor would get up in front of everyone and say, okay, listen, everybody. Here's what was going on in my life, and here's how it is. You like it or lump it or whatever. Or your teacher or your spouse even. If you find out that your spouse did nudie pictures or a porno at some point, as long as they weren't harming someone. And some people have different opinions about pornography, but so I feel like that's an interesting way for him to have get sort of canceled before canceling was a thing.
And let me put it this way. Kim Kardashian did a sex tape, and look at her. Yeah. She didn't get cancelled.
No.
So, yeah, I think it's different these days. But, yeah, I really like Simon Rex. I thought it was almost it was made for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It felt very much like he was pulling up some of his real shit.
Now, Sean Baker is famous for putting non-actors in his movies, and there are a variety of non-actors in this movie. I mean, they are actors,
sure,
but they've not acted before. Yeah. So, Brie Elrod, who plays Simon Rex's wife, Lexi, what did you think of her?
I thought she was really good. She made me feel kind of sorry for her, because I think sometimes when I watch movies, TV shows, whatever, and characters, her life is she gets up, she smokes a bunch of cigarettes, she sits outside in the lawn chair, her mom watches TV all day. That's their life. What we find out is that she also, as her mother puts it, goes on the Craigslist, which actually means she's being prostitute. She's prostituting herself, right? Not that Craigslist is about prostitution, but that's what they meant in this circumstance. So her life is just that. And we find out later she has a child who's been removed from her care. She also smokes crack. I believe it's crack. Could be crystal meth.
I think so.
I think it's crack. So she's got kind of a lull of a life, So I felt bad for her, but I could feel the fire in her, right? She's a little saucy. She's sassy. She, in the end, does him over like she should, basically. Yeah. I liked her a lot. I thought she was really good because there are moments when they're talking over each other in a real, tit for tat, barking at each other. And it was really good, really real.
And then we've got the mother, Brenda Dice, plays Lil, and unfortunately this actress died just after the movie was made. But we thought she was the real mother of Brie Elrod.
I did. I really thought she was.
I did too. And she, again, this lady had not acted before. She was a NASA secretary for her whole life.
Interesting.
And then when Sean Baker was scouting a location, he saw her stood there and went over and spoke to her. And she ended up being quite a big part of the movie, actually, right?
Absolutely.
I really liked her. I thought she was excellent. And it was very funny that when she establishes stuff with Mikey, she's like, every day I watch this TV show in this position on this couch. So you are not there when I'm watching that.
Yeah, because he's sleeping on the couch. So it's basically like, get your ass off the couch.
And it's very early in the morning, apparently.
Yeah, I'm watching my show. And she did. Every day she'd blare the volume really loud at him.
It's really funny. Then we've got Susanna Son as Strawberry, and she also has not been in anything else. And she was excellent. She's the
very good
younger girl who he hooks up with, let's say. I bought her, and she was trying to impress him in a weird way.
Well, I mean, he's handsome, he's fit, he's tan, he's a fast talker. He makes it appear that he is more established in life than he is, although he's riding a rickety old bike every time he shows up at this donut job, which I know we shouldn't all judge people for anything at all. I get that. But when I see a grown man riding on a bike that's too small for him, up or down the road, anywhere I go, ever, if he's just in normal clothes like jeans and cowboy boots and like a shirt and a cap, I'm like, dude, you lost your license. Or dude, what the fuck did you do to end up on a... You're not riding a bike like, you know, a cyclist. That's not what we're talking about. He's just on the bike. So he looks real janky. But she's young. She's impressionable. He's a fast talker. He's very flirty and sort of like feeds her that thing, you know, makes her feel good in a fucked up way about being flirted with. But she kind of falls for it. Then again, is she falling for it or is she using him too? Like, that's the real question.
Yeah, there's a grey area with it all. Mm-hmm. That's like what I was saying earlier about the way she is. It doesn't feel like she's being suckered into anything.
No.
It feels like she could be suckering him. Like,
then again, she's only 17.
She is, but she also seems like she could.
Yeah, but she
him.
does not have the life experience, and I hate to be rude to all the 17-year-olds out there, but if you're a little bit old, even 10 years older, you spot this guy a million miles away. You just know. No. Just say no. Like, call the cops, basically.
And then finally I put down Ethan Darboni, who plays Lonnie. He's the next door neighbour with the car. And you thought you'd seen him before, but you haven't because he's not been in anything.
Yeah.
He was great too.
He was really sad as well.
And he was also doing weird shit. The stolen valor thing.
He was going to the mall dressed in like...
veteran.
Well, he'd wear, what's it called?
Like fatigues.
Fatigues, and then try to pretend to be an ex-soldier. Even this guy, even our main guy's like, oh man, I didn't know you served. And he's like, and he goes, oh, thanks for your service. And he's like, oh yeah, man. But he didn't say that he never served. He just, something is broken inside of him, and he goes to the mall for people to thank him. And I guess, is he getting money? Like he's, I couldn't tell what he was trying to do.
And I don't know if it's, like his mum died, right? I don't know if he, like his dad, who wasn't coping very well either. I don't know if that was a reaction to that.
No, because it said in 2014, 2 years before this, he had done it before. Yeah. So, but the character guy, you feel like everyone's a little bit sad.
Yeah, there's something bad usually in everybody's backstory.
Yeah.
Directed by Sean Baker, who did The Florida Project and Tangerine. Florida Project, we saw. Excellent.
Yeah.
This is very similar vein. It's about that side of life, which he seems to be fascinated with.
That side of life.
He said that
he's real life.
An interview that I read with him said that he's always been interested in the sex trade in a way. And he, like, Tangerine's about prostitutes. And he wanted to, like, do a realistic portrayal of things in the sex industry. Now, I don't know where the Florida Project comes into that, because it didn't, did it? Or was the girl a stripper or something?
I think there was a crossover there, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
But his movies are very specific, little slice of life things. They're very realistic feeling. It doesn't feel fully scripted all the time.
It does not, no.
It feels like they're just riffing sometimes, but in a good way. What do you think of his directing?
It's very specific. The camera is often slanted a bit from different angles where you're kind of seeing people in a distorted view. Like when he's telling her he's leaving, the camera's kind of like down way over here on the table and it's crooked. And she's over here kind of distorted on the left and he's over there kind of distorted on the right. So you're feeling very uncomfortable and very awkward. Like, is she going to flip out? Is he... what's going to happen? So I like that kind of stuff. It's not fancy camera work or anything. It's not like weird. You moving around.
No,
or
it's
any
quite
of that. It's
static a lot.
It is very static. Even when he's on the bike and stuff, you don't feel like. And then following them in the car, it's very steady. It's like steady cam, not like handheld, like like people do. But
he really likes, like a very wide shot of a building, and then somebody goes past it very slowly. Because he did that in the Florida Project with the different smoothie booths and stuff, do you remember? Mm-hmm. And this one he does it with the donut hole. You'll see it, and it's right in the middle of the screen, and it's very wide, and then you'll see the bike go across the screen.
And like her house as well. It's very centered, because it looks kind of... It's not fully symmetrical, but...
But it gives it like this definite feel to it, filmmaking-wise. So, IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews on a thing called imdb.com, and you like to find the 1 stars and kind of make fun of them.
All right, so these are the people who hate this movie from IMDb. And the first guy says, 8 minutes in and I had to stop this. It was unwatchable. If you don't have the budget to make a film, then make a short and raise the money for a full feature. Why are you wasting my time? You're rude. Well, you only took 8 minutes of your time, to be fair.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Yeah. If you'd have took the whole 2 hours, then... Whew. Second guy says, nonsensical movie. Obviously, the purpose is to provoke, but the acting and script are way below expectations. I still don't get this movie has good reviews. The movie is mediocre at very best.
Wrong. Also not helpful.
And the third guy says, how does this have so many reviews over 1 star? This movie looks like it was made for less than $10. I could have made a better quality film on my phone. Are these actors or just people they found in the street? Actually, it's a bit of both.
Correct.
So that doesn't make it crap, and it doesn't look like it cost $10. I don't think.
But being all janky and weird and like realistic also doesn't make it good. So we're not saying like, oh, it's elevated because
it doesn't make it bad either.
No, but I'm saying it doesn't make it... I'm saying the opposite of what you're trying to sell here is that, just because it's that doesn't make it bad. But just because it's this guy and he's got a different take and he uses film and he's all that also doesn't make it good. It's just the combination of everything to us makes it to me, makes it one of those movies where I'm like, I am so glad I like all kinds of movies.
Again, thank you, A24, with your selection of movies.
They didn't make it, though. They just bought and distributed this one.
Which is what they do a lot with most movies. Whoever at A24 goes around looking at movies and then buying them, they seem to buy the right ones that kind of fit a mold. For some reason, it's my sweet spot of movies.
Yeah, it is.
And it can be The Green Knight, which is like a bizarre fantasy film, or it can be X from last week, which is a slasher horror film. It can be... There's a spectrum, isn't there, of A24 movies?
Yeah, well, I don't know much of a spectrum.
It can be anything, is what I mean.
It could be anything, but it's never going to be,
Or it could be Lamb.
It's not going to be Father of the Bride. Or... Bridesmaids.
Yeah, it's never going to be plain vanilla type entertainment.
And nothing's wrong with vanilla, by the way.
No, but you don't go to A24 for the vanilla stuff. Extras,
so what flavor are you saying they are? If it's not vanilla, what is it?
Probably black cherry.
What's so interesting about black cherry?
I'm
thinking it's more like ice cream with broken glass and cigarette butts in it.
Well, yeah, could be.
But you still want to eat it. Like it's vanilla and chocolate and strawberry with broken glass and cigarette butts.
Ben and Jerry's, we give you that flavor. You can make that
A24 flavor.
Yeah, might be.
Let's not say broken glass, because that would kill you, but cigarette butts and
needles.
Dirt. No, nothing that'll kill you. So cigarette butts, dirt, and I don't know what else. Urine.
All right, so there are extras on the Blu-ray, but we watched the streaming version, so we didn't see any extras. I'm going to give this movie a score. Here we go. Red Rocket, 7 out of 10.
Excellent. Tell everyone what Red Rocket is, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the movie's called Red Rocket, and I had to look up what Red Rocket was, thinking it was... You know what I thought it was? I thought it was the bike he was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you see him on the bike in the trailer. You also see him on the bike quite a lot in the movie. I thought it was a Red Rocket bike, but no. Red Rocket is the actual term for a dog's penis. So take that with you.
And then on the cover, it's just a naked guy in a big donut.
Yes. So apply that to the movie.
It's a little bit random, but hey. And I will give it an 8.
I might actually...
I think it's just really good. It's really good to me to get lost in a movie where I'm just absorbing people's lives and choices, and like it almost makes me feel... It's like I'm watching one of those shows on TLC where I'm like, I feel a lot better about myself.
You mean like Hoarders or something?
Yeah, I hate to say that, but yes. Yeah. Where I'm like, okay, my garage isn't that bad, so I'm doing pretty good. So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, I got past his age, late 40s, not doing that. So I'm doing good. He's making me feel good about myself.
All right, so thank you to A24. Next week, we're going to be looking at PlayStation game turned movie, Uncharted. How about that, Sid Talk?
Listen to the excitement in your voice.
I do love the Uncharted games, played them all. So let's see how they make a movie out of that. Movie recommendations this week. I am going with The Florida Project. I would wholly recommend that movie. And I also had, in this movie, on occasion, I kept thinking of Napoleon Dynamite. I know it's a different type of movie, but there are some... Maybe it's the bike? I don't know.
The flaws in the people?
Yeah, maybe. So Napoleon Dynamite, which is a classic.
Nice. And my recommendation is going to be following through with 2022. I'm going back to the 90s. And this time I am in 1993, apparently. And my recommendations are Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That is not a movie, by the way. That's a show. I don't give a crap what anyone thinks about Star Trek television shows. I like them all. I watch them all, except I haven't watched Picard yet or caught up with Discovery. But I will, because I like it all. I don't give a crap what anybody says. So Star Trek Deep Space Nine was back in 93. I really like that one. I need to go back someday and watch all that stuff. Also, Alive, which is that one, the plane crash, cannibalism.
Yeah.
Also, Boxing Helena, not cannibalism, but all one of your faves, which is also quite bizarre.
Yes.
Look it up, Boxing Helena. And no, it's not about boxing.
But it is about Helena.
It is about a box. Falling Down, one of our faves.
Defense.
It is, Michael Douglas is a dude who just has enough, and he's, society's gotten to be too much for him, and he's falling down. Indecent Proposal, which I've never thought is very good. I don't know what all the hype was about. I mean, it was Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore and Robert Redford, but it wasn't that great. And also, no offense to my husband, no shade on anyone who would offer me this, but for $1 million fucking dollars, he offers them $1 million for one night with the wife, right? So
like a prostitute, you're hiring her out.
I don't know if it's prostitution, because I mean, if you marry somebody and they pay all the bills, what's the difference, right? And sex is involved or whatever. I don't know why that was such a controversial question, but then again, I'm me, and so there you go.
It's the water cooler thing where everybody has to talk about
it is,
stuff.
and I get it. If you truly love somebody, you don't want to have sex with another person. Then again, say you agree to the deal, you show up at the house or the hotel or wherever you're going. If you're really good at manipulating people, like our man in this movie today, you could probably talk the guy out of the sex part and keep the money. I don't understand the big drama. But
well, there you go.
I have a different look. I'm like, $1 million. Let's work on it.
All right, A Scully stuff. I've been playing a game called Green Hell. Have you heard of this one, Sidta?
I'm not.
It's a survival game on the PlayStation 4/5. And It's a story survival game where you're dropped into like this jungle with your wife. There's been an accident. And you literally there's no instructions. Here you are, you're on the island, survive. And it's quite an in-depth survival game, including you got to find food, you got to make fire, you've got to survive, basically. And there's a story that's unfolding as you work your way through this island. You have to deal with like the tribes on the island. You have to deal with all kinds of things. Like the first playthrough I cut my leg very badly on a tree. And I didn't know how... Do you know how to deal with a wound on your leg if you've got nothing?
If you literally have nothing?
No, I didn't have anything at this point. Like just a couple of coconut husks. Because I drank the milk out of them already. And that was it.
I'm guessing mud?
Some mud does help. To stop the bleeding.
Is this game for prepper people?
No, it's
survivalists.
It's survival, Well, anyway, how I stopped my leg being infected. Well, I didn't. I died, actually.
Oh, right. Well, this doesn't sound like helpful information.
But it happened to me again. And then I found a rotting animal on the floor. And what's inside a rotting animal?
Blood and guts?
And what else? You're not going to guess. Maggots.
Maggots, okay.
So you take the maggots out and put them in your own wound. Gross, I know. But apparently that stops infection. And I was like, is that how it works in real life? I looked it up. It does, apparently.
I suppose that maggots, what they're doing is feeding on dying tissue or something or grossness. And
yes.
So they're eating the grossness. Okay.
Yeah. So
now I can survive.
You can.
I'm good to go.
And this game goes to great lengths to be realistic in, like, everything. And everything on this island seems like it's designed to hurt you in some way. You're very thirsty.
Newsflash, everything in nature wants to kill you. It doesn't want you to be alive.
Yeah, so if you enjoy that feeling, already you're hungry after the accident and you're on the island and your wife's there. So you got two of you to deal with. You want to go and get some water to drink because it's hot and you're thirsty. And then do you just drink the water from the stream there or the pond?
I've watched Survivor. I say no.
Do you, how do you make a fire? What do you get exactly to make the fire? Everything is designed very well that you have to think about it. You can't just go, oh, wow, I've hurt my leg. I'll just leave it alone. Because, no, hurting your leg and leaving it alone is not good, right?
Equals death.
Yeah, it'll equal death eventually, for sure. So it's a survival game with a story. It's called Green Hell for a reason because it's literal hell. I mean, it's not going to be easy, is it, if you're surviving a plane crash?
No.
If you like that survival stuff with a story, this is one of the most detailed ones I've seen. I couldn't believe that I had to find maggots in a dead rat and stick them in my leg. And that is pretty gross. It's like watching Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yeah, but you've just taught. And that's going to be people go, well, of course, duh, how could you not know maggots? Well, whatever.
I'm not a survivalist.
I don't know that, and now I do. And this podcast could have just saved somebody's life. This is the level of podcasting we're up to. It's
pretty high end. Yes.
Screw those people who say you're not supposed to talk. Tell them a little thing that you read. Advice about what you're not supposed to do on a podcast.
You're not supposed to run for over 20 minutes.
Okay, well, we do that. We run for over 20 minutes.
You're not supposed to have any music.
We don't have music while we're talking.
No.
So tick that box.
I actually agree with that. Music behind a podcast is really annoying.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But the main one was you're not supposed to talk about yourself.
Oh, that was true.
What the fuck is that? Why are you doing even if you're reviewing something so monotonously technological like a phone, your opinion of everything, you can say the specs, right?
Right.
But then you're going to inject your own everything into it. What are these people? Who are these people?
People who say
I love to talk about myself.
They've studied the algorithms.
So we failed the algorithm. Fair enough.
So Green Hell is the game. It's on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, on Steam. I think there's a Switch version as well. So Green Hell, pick it up. I finished Horizon Forbidden West, 100%, did everything, right?
You did.
Really cool.
I mean, you haven't finished all the stuff. I know that's the illusion they've given you. You finished the story. You've got
the trophies.
All the trophies. But then there's just like literally probably hundreds more hours of topping off every weapon and every outfit and everything. So
yeah. When we saw the end of the story, and I liked the story a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I won't spoil it. Play it. It took me 91 hours to finish it, but I was dawdling around a lot, right?
We like dawdling.
Yeah, I like exploring and seeing everything. And I believe we did see everything. So that was that. And also, Ozark is back on TV this week. We're actually going through the last 7 episodes now. It's so much fun.
We're going through 2 at a time because your patience have worn down. I would watch them all in a row on one night, but, that's me.
I don't want to, but there'll never be any more Ozark, and this is it.
That's fine.
We
can move on. You know why? Because before Ozark, there was no Ozark.
I need to savor it. Yeah, but also, Better Call Saul is on, and that was a marvelous episode this week.
It was good.
So I recommend both of those to you, even though I'm not in the recommend section of the podcast. Also, what is for dinner?
Tonight, you recommended that we have the Taco Bell.
TB.
Well, yeah.
We're going to get the TB.
I'll get the TB.
And what's your advice? And let's get the hell out of here.
My advice doesn't sound like advice yet again, but it's like, this is what I wrote. So if it sounds really obnoxious, that's fine. When I read things out loud, it may not sound the same as it did in my head as I typed it. On the buffet of life. You get what I'm saying? Buffet.
I get it.
Even if you don't want to try every dish on the table, right?
I'm getting it.
Learn the recipe, respect the person who brought it, and the history behind it. I'm not being literal here. Like, every buffet is this situation. It is like life. You may not be interested in weird movies at all. You want to watch the straight up Hallmark movies or Marvel movies, whatever's like the most packaged up. Here's the experience, and it's however it's been defined as sort of like the mainstream thing. That's cool. But don't like poo-poo on the little casserole of weirdness over there that's A24 movies, right? That somebody like us, we've just lived our whole life. To hear the story of our lives separately, our whole lives before we met each other. We watched so many movies when we were kids and watched weird stuff and stuff we weren't supposed to watch. Movies and television and music are a big part of who we are. That could be generational. That could just be our personalities. But the reason we like the weird movies is we actually like the whole spectrum of movies. Dare I say I'm not in love with Hallmark movies, but I've watched a couple and, I'm okay with it. I don't reject them. If they're sitting over there in a little pie on the corner of the table of the buffet, I'm like, I'll have a small slice of that. That'll be fine. It looks good. Kind of sweet, right? Kind of sappy. I can handle that. As long as I go over to the weird casserole with the A24 mixed in it, which is really spicy. You're not really sure what's in it, but you just keep wanting to eat it. Do you catch what I'm throwing?
Right.
So,
I get it.
Buffet of life. Don't poo-poo on everybody's little dishes that they brought. You don't have to eat it all or even like it. Just respect it.
All right. Thank you, Sid Talk.
Nah.
Let me recommend ascully.com, anchor.fm/after the show. You can get the podcast there. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, anywhere where podcasts are available. You can also catch us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Email me at ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. I won't give you her address.
You can use your imagination. If his is ascully@ascully.com.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. Use your critical thinking skills.
And stay classy, Mr. Simon Rex. Very classy in this movie. Or not, as the case may be.
And I'm going to say think for yourself, or someone will do it for you.